Hello everyone, my name is Lamia. I'm an urban designer and an architect, and today I wanted to talk about the idea of disaster zones and an idea of public space. So basically, here in COP, you've all been in these talks, and every country, every region, every city is now developing their own sustainable design goals. We're talking about a city of future, what it's going to look like, what we're going to achieve, and everything. But we did some projects in places like New Orleans in USA, for example, where in 2005 they had a Hurricane Katrina, a natural disaster, and part of this city is now unused and abandoned. So what happens there? The state of New Orleans is developing this program of what they're going to achieve, what's going to happen. But that area is a disaster space, which means anything bad can happen in the future as well. It carries that reminder of another horrible event can happen. So what's the point of doing all this development if everything can go underwater in a second? So there is a problem of mutilation. And what we should do first is, as our ideas, doing environmental risk management. Safety first and then development. A place like that doesn't need new power plants, they don't need alternative energies, they need to be safe. They need to know that their houses are not going to be underwater in a few years, that their government will be ready for that. And another thing that we considered while doing this project was, when we talk about disaster management and when we talk about this risk management, the solution that they came up in New Orleans was this levee system, which was this huge concrete walls around the marsh, around the Gulf. And that causes a segregation. So there is an entire wall between people and nature. Now there's an isolation. And that's also a bad city planning, that's a bad design. So we need to first consider risk management, consider our safety, then develop a sustainable goals, integrate two together. But then we need to talk about social life in the spaces. We need to talk about public space. So we need to develop strategies, nature-based strategies, integrated water management strategies, where we will build these risk management structures that will also serve as public spaces for people. Like our project was creating these sand dunes that will help prevent flooding, but will also serve as a park for people. So, should I keep talking? I don't know. Is it? Okay, I was told that I didn't have much time. That's fine. So, I was trying to be fast. I hope that I could explain myself in a way. Basically, the idea is, yes, we all want these futuristic cities, we all want these ecologically aware alternative energy cities, but we need to look at our realities. Not every city can have the same strategies. And basically, creating these programs that governments do with step-by-step guidelines doesn't work everywhere. We need to consider how climate change can affect us in very, very negative ways. And climate change is right now creating a war between man and nature, a war that we started when we started altering nature because of our needs, for our needs. And now we need to combat that first and then think about how we can develop these new cities. We cannot start over. We need to first protect ourselves. Okay? That was all. But now that was done.
Well done, that was really fantastic. It's very brave as well, standing up on a stage and speaking without notes or anything at all, so I'm incredibly impressed. And you're 100% right in my view as well. We need to see ourselves as nature again. If we always start from that, perhaps we will be able to build and design first, obviously, and then build for a sustainable, regenerative future.
The relationship between people and nature, we need to put that first. Not this guideline, not this economic goals, not these huge goals, but nature, ecology first. And we need to heal our relationship with nature. That's the point that I wanted to have.
And you put it across beautifully. Well done. Thank you so much. Put your hands together, please, for me. Great. What a start to the open mic. I love it. Now, next up, we have a friendly face from the Bahamas who is coming to speak. Are you ready? So Gibran Sands has come all the way from the islands of the Bahamas, and I'm delighted to have met you, Gibran, a few days ago. And so I'm excited to hear about what you've got to say. I know you're super passionate about loss and damage, and that's what you're going to talk about today. So let's give him a warm welcome to the stage.
Hi everyone, I'm Javon, and I will be talking about loss and damage. I'll open with a little bit of dialogue about that. I'll also be sharing sort of poetry. I'm a poet. I'll be sharing poetry that kind of encapsulates my thoughts and feelings about loss and damage from a small island perspective. Let me just get out of Instagram. Okay, so on the topic of loss and damage, so when I was in undergrad, I did my undergraduate research at COP27 on resilience in frontline communities, so climate change, resilience, and adaptation in frontline communities. And of course, what came out of that was this conversation around loss and damage, and that really got me to dive into the space of loss and damage within the context of the UNFCCC, and learn about the history of loss and damage and how small islanders have always been driving this push for loss and damage finance, for the consideration of loss and damage in the text, and for the importance of loss and damage to our frontline communities. And so if you're at all familiar, you would understand that this dialogue around loss and damage started way before where we are now, so back in 1991, and that predates the formation of the UNFCCC. So even with that history, we still haven't had as strong language in terms of loss and damage as we would like to see in the text coming out of these conversations. And it's been over 30 years of discussions. And small islanders have been leading this charge. So at the time, the president of Vanuatu was the one who kind of introduced this dialogue about loss and damage. And as you can tell, I'm very aware of the whole historical context because I've spent a lot of time reading and studying about it. But I'm also aware of the personal connection because I live in a small and developing state. I've experienced it and weathered these more and more dangerous and damaging and devastating storms. I've witnessed 2 of our major islands be devastated, and you can't imagine what that does to an island people to see an entire island of infrastructure literally washed into the sea. And it's not an over-exaggeration, that's exactly what happened. People's homes, over 70,000 people lost their homes. Countless people lost their lives, and we still don't know the exact number because those bodies have ended up in the ocean. And so it's a really crucial component of the climate change conversation. And with that, I will just begin to share some of my frustrations in the form of poetry. So, global climate response is a miss. Sometimes it can seem to be a myth. It's as if our respective nations are in a fleet of ships, somehow all adrift and on the precipice of climate doom. Sinking quick, some are bailing out the water, while others deny their eyes and decide to dismiss the rising tide in which we sit. Yet, no one moves to fix the cause of it. Those hard at work with pails and buckets make trip after trip to the edge of their wits, emptying their buckets, knowing they'll never empty their whole ship. One by one, their limbs tire, and soon arguments ensue in lieu of our impending doom. Buckets bob askew, all the while the ones who pack their life vests and double check, the ones who always clean up their own mess, the ones who never let their mistakes affect their duty to keep fellow passengers safe, the ones who are least responsible for the fleet's current state. Those faithful few are frantically searching through the lower deck, long abandoned by the crew. All their hopes are set on finding a solution, but I worry that by the time they do, we'll have drowned ourselves in puddles while fearing the monsoon. My climate reality is cultural fatality. If my islands get submerged beneath the rising sea, it's all the more likely that my heritage will follow suit. It pains me to know that with every solar revolution, a harsh truth becomes more believable. That is, the devolution of our ways, our tongue, our joy, our drums. That is the chance that my descendants may never know the colorful rhythms of Junkanoo, but there is still hope, so long as at least a single conch shell survives and arrives on some distant beach. Then perhaps by some divine miracle, when a curious child places it to their ear, they will still be able to hear those lively tunes, mingled in with the sounds of the ocean where our cultural spirit will reside, and just maybe that same child will be inspired to recreate those magical sounds. Then our once drowned heritage will surface once again and burst forth from them. Now, this one is about my track that I'm currently following as a part of the Bahamas delegation negotiations. The global stocktake, which if you're paying attention, you know it's like a very contentious issue. But I wrote this long before coming here, so we'll see how well it matches up to what's going on now. The global stocktake. The following describes our reality today. We stray far from home to scavenge summits, conferences, assemblies around the globe for nothing more than bare bones, but still the world looks away. To us, their actions say, manage on your own. So we return to crumbled abodes, unprotected and exposed. My island people, we are the world's pot cake. With temperatures and sea levels on the rise, this is my hot take. We should be compensated. For those of us in humanity's vanguard, the more our islands are devastated, the less there is to safeguard. Soon, our cultures will feel clammy and cold to the touch after being power washed away in unfamiliar bathtubs. On Memorial Day, they will raise our flags, but their colors won't register in our descendants' blind eyes. This next one, there's two more. This next one is a dialogue in sort of my local dialect, so just follow me with this. Another hurricane? That's that climate change. Yeah, but I hear about that. They say we could be underwater dread, but you think that's true? At least that was be on the news. They know what we can do. The thing is, it's so much we need to do. Hold on, so we just doomed? Well, to tell you the truth, this climate change thing ain't our fault, because we hardly is contribute. But mother said, so who really responsible for this? It's all them countries who is emit plenty CO2 and other harmful gases up into the atmosphere. Wait, atmosphere? I know we used to hear about that in school, but tell me what it really is. It has to wipe around the earth. Basically, it's like a strainer, which is used in the kitchen, but instead of the wire filter, it's made of gases like CO2 then. Oh, okay, I see. So now, how does this lead to all these climate things? Alright, so then the gases is trap heat as the atmosphere let in radiation from the sun, and that's like the whole earth heat system. So that means the problem now is too much heat getting trapped, right? Exactly, and that's because them polluters been releasing too much greenhouse gas, see? I see what you're saying, so what we could do? Right now, our best hope is to put pressure on the polluters in order to keep global temperatures reasonable enough for us to cope. Or that's that 1.5 to stay alive, what I've been hearing about. Yeah, because otherwise, them climate impacts just can wipe us out. And this is the last one. Thank you so much. One more. Thank you. Okay. I stand between the ocean's wrath and the people's joy. I teach the ways of water to island girls and island boys. I guide and guard and shape them throughout their lives. I signal early when catastrophes arrive. I embrace my islands when they cry. I feel the tide when it's low or high. I know it's every ebb and flow. I noticed first the change unfold. I worried when this went untold. I wish they understood my groans. I am the wide and treacherous shoal. I am the coast. I am the sand, the rocks, the palms, the seagrass, the coral, the turquoise waters. I am under siege, quickly losing ground. Recovery is slow and my people are left exposed. I cannot weep for the children and their future drenched in woe. I cannot weep for my islands, lest my tears swallow them whole. I cannot weep when there's still time to fight the foe. I cannot weep when there's still a torch to light the coal. I cannot weep because I must console. I cannot weep because I must remold those island girls and island boys to be brave and strong and wise and bold. Thank you.
much for coming and sharing that with us today. Now, on my list, I don't have officially anybody else who is wanting to come and use the open mic, but my invitation is really for any of you, if you do have something that you would like to share, perhaps it's a story that you've heard, perhaps it's a lived experience. I'd be really happy for anybody to come up here. And also, you don't have to do it in English either. If you would like to share this story in your own native language, again, I would be super delighted. Now, I'm enjoying this little crew over here. You've got your scarves around your neck. Would somebody like to tell me where you're from? Are you part of the Scouts? Yes. Amazing! And we love having the Scouts at the Extreme Hangout. We've had lots of Scouts come and join us beforehand. I don't know if any of you would like to... I tell you what I'm going to do. So my name is Amber, for those of you who don't know, and I'm the founder of the Extreme Hangout. So we have been here already for 1 week, enjoying, loving our time in Baku. And this year is the first time. I've now been 3 times to Azerbaijan, but this year is the first time that I came, and my trips here have been in preparation for the COP. I've only really spent the time in Baku. I've been to your old town, I've been to the Carpet Museum, I've enjoyed some beautiful local music and dancing as well, which has been wonderful to experience. And I have to say, as a girl who loves the ocean, I love the fact that I get to see your Caspian Sea as well. So that's very important to me. But I'm going to share one little thing for me, which is we're 7 days into COP now already, and it's a little frustration that I have. So, as we all know, we've got the world leaders here at the moment this week, and lots of them have gone home already, but they're leaving their brilliant negotiators who are hard at work. This is why today is their rest day. So we have to give them all a bit of a break. But we don't have a break at the Extreme Hangout, because we know that it's the weekend, and oftentimes on the weekend, people have free time and then they're able to come and to experience what's actually going on at COP. But I'm going to give you one of my frustrations that I've been hearing about from lots of the international travelers and indeed local community who are spending their time at COP this week. And a lot of what you hear is about how expensive it is to make the changes that we need to make in order that we can have any hope at all of achieving decarbonization of our energy systems by 2050. I would argue that what they're not thinking about at the same time is how expensive it's going to be if we don't do it now. Clearly there are other people in the room who are also thinking about this as well. That is what this open mic is for. So we have something to say, and it's even just maybe to come up here and talk about something that you love, and maybe you don't want to see it to go. But can I invite anybody who is feeling that they're maybe brave enough to hop up on stage and share something? Or maybe explain why you love being a scout? Or, I don't know, you can talk about anything you like. No, not at the moment?
I can come.
Yes, you come. So can you tell me your name?
My name is Ulvi. My name is Ulvi.
Ulvi.
Yes.
And you're from Azerbaijan?
Yes. Exactly.
I'm going to give you the mic, and you can tell us your story.
Okay. I want to talk about the Scouts. Why I'm a Scout and what we do. Okay. So the important thing about Scouts is like we like to. Sometimes we go to campings and we camp together. The interesting thing is we socialize with each other. We have lots of friends, and I met all of my friends here only in scouting. If there's no scouting, I would meet them, and it's really interesting. I recommend everyone to be a scout because you know, it's interesting. You go to camps, you spend nights together, you play with each other, you spend time with each other, and you know, it makes you happy to spend times with people that you know, you get to know people closer when you're camping, and it's really really good, you know. What's more, when I was a scout, I didn't think like it's gonna be really interesting. I just did it for fun. I just gave it a try, and I didn't know that it's gonna be so interesting. It's been 5 years now since I'm a scout, and I'll continue being scout as a scout, and it's really a pleasure to be a scout. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Uli?
Ubi.
Ulvi. Great. So I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions on that too, because one of the reasons that I founded the Extreme Hangout and that I love coming to these COPs is because I also love being outdoors. And I was never actually a scout, but I was a brownie. And I used to be super proud. And I learned lots of different skills. Do you find that, I mean, what are some of the fun skills that you think you've learned through being a scout?
Fun skills. You know, they teach you some surviving skills when you're in a nature.
Have you had to use any of them?
Yes, some of them. Yeah, I've been used to. I use some of them. Yeah.
So, like making a fire or finding your food in nature?
Exactly. Yes. How to build a campfire. How to. There are ways to build a campfire. Also, how to build a tent and etc. Like this.
To make shelter?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's one of the things that we need, isn't it? We need shelter to survive, we need food to survive, we need water to survive. Isn't that the three things? Is there another thing? I don't know, maybe a scout leader will tell us if we got that one wrong.
Yeah. Also, there was a camp in Ganja. It was in 2021. And so there was a kind of... So we were taught to build shelter by using only wood. No tents, nothing, just wood, and we were in the second place. It was really interesting too. We used trees to build a shelter, and we used long sticks at the same time to make it stronger.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I think you are a wonderful representative of the Scouts, and well done for being brave and stepping up here on the stage today. I'll ask you one more question. Have you got any specific hope of something that you would like to see come out of this COP in Azerbaijan?
For example, there are some, as we know there are some pollutions. There are lots of pollutions in our world, especially in the Caspian Sea. So I would really like to see the Caspian Sea like in a clean way. Okay, so I want its water to be clean and the air, everything to be clean. It will be really good.
Well, I think that's a wonderful message to take away from this COP, that we would like to see the restoration of the Caspian Sea and for it to become a thriving, happy ecosystem once again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you very much for being brave enough to come up here. Now, anybody else like to follow your friend? Yes, come on, young lady, I love this. What is your name?
My name is Siljan.
Siljan. It's lovely to meet you, Siljan. The mic is yours, and let me know if you want me to come back and ask you a few questions, because sometimes that helps if you're a bit nervous. But you look like a very brave young lady, so the mic is yours.
Hello everyone. So I've been a scout. I've been in scouting actually since 2015. But my official scouting journey started 2 years ago thanks to my group leader, Sirus. I can't really see him. Okay, he's there. So he included me to his scouting team, and that's the way it started officially. The reason why I chose scouting is because since my childhood, basically, I've seen them and I've grown with them. And I've always thought about them as people that protect nature, that fight for nature, and try to keep everywhere clean. Other than what my fellow other scout friend mentioned, that we have lots of memories from the campings and other probably interesting activities. It's also that scouts teach us through the trainings. As an example, we have had plenty of group gatherings where we plant trees. We make some benches for different parks that do not have benches for people to use it. So I think scouting is more than just entertainment and joy and finding friends. About the COP, what I can say is that our youth, I think at some point we're misleaded, and we mostly focus on the green zone, which is just marketing, which has only stands for, mostly stands for the sales, for the things that are not even related to COP. But nobody listens to what is going on in the conference hall, which is the blue zone. Nobody listens to the discussions that are going on there for making our world better. And as the thesis says, for green, in solidarity for a green world. Nobody, I think nobody of the youth has the clue about the discussions, because if we can just watch the TikToks, which is the media, the main media platform, and we can see that everybody just posts from the green zone how they spent their time basically here, and it's just the marketing part. But I would like to see our youth more involved in trying to make this world better and cleaner.
That was really eloquently put. And one thing that I can tell you, because I've got a blue zone badge, so I have spent some time in the blue zone. And the good news is, I know that there are some Azerbaijani youth in there. I'm sure you will feel not nearly enough, and I would probably agree with you on that. But every country from around the world that's come is invited to bring a youth delegation with them as well. So actually, it's one of my pleasant surprises to see that there are some young voices in there. Now, of course, the risk is that it can become quite tokenistic, and young people may feel frustrations from participating in there, because they might be like, well, they've ticked a box by inviting a young person to be here on the stage with us, but are they actually listening? Are they understanding our different perspective? Because you guys have grown up in a completely different generation. Your view is always going to be different from my view, from the views of older generations as well, because we've grown up in different lifetimes. And so it is really important. And please, go from here as well and speak to your parents, speak to your teachers, speak to your scout leaders as well, and say, invite us into your boardrooms, not just advisory board, but boardrooms as well. We want to help to shape our future. And we may not have all the academic degrees, but we still have, by the way, I have news for you. We all have 3 brains. Do you know that? We have 3 brains. It's not just the brain here. We have another brain here. And we also, did people talk about your gut feeling, gut instinct? You have another brain here as well. And scientists are more and more thinking that actually it's the brain here in our gut, which is really the one that stimulates our intellect into action. So, young people definitely have fully functioning here and here, and your brains are constantly sponges and growing. So all of your opinions are 100% valid and worthwhile, and so always keep knocking on the doors, even when people say no. There's always another route in around the side. But well done. I think it's wonderful for you to come up on stage here today, and thank you for visiting the Extreme Hangout.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else like to say anything? No? You could even maybe come and talk about your favorite animal in Azerbaijan. Yes? Come say something. You can speak in Azerbaijani if you prefer. You don't have to speak in English. You don't know what to talk about? What do you care about? It could be people. You might want to talk about worries for your family, for your local community. You might want to talk about something that where you would like to see some change or improvement. You might want to talk about wildlife that you're particularly passionate about. Yeah? What's your name?
My name is Chinggis.
Chinggis, you're a brave man. You have allowed your friends to... They have made you do it. I recognize that. But I think that's probably because they realize that you are good at speaking and that you have a passion that they want you to tell us about here on the stage. So I'm going to hand you the mic and let me know if you want me to come back and ask you some questions, okay? Chinggis, over to you.
So talk about. All right, so we are all scouts here, most of us, and most of us don't know each other. If any of you heard about the change makers, maybe. So actually, some scouts were participants into the change makers and Utopia and TISA school also. So as we were doing that, our team came up with an idea of the 17 SDGs there were, and we wanted to tackle the problem of I forgot the number of the SDG, but it was about education mostly. So and the group that won would have the would get sponsored by Utopia and would get help of their project. So the project that won was about the women's, what was it, I forgot. It was about the single mothers, so they were helped to find some jobs and so on. So they will get sponsorship from Utopia. And our group, we came up with the idea of helping young children to understand what they want to be. Because studying without a purpose isn't really studying, because you don't know what you will become. And to tackle the problem, we were going to go to schools and maybe ask, have a psychologist to talk with the children about what they want to do, who they want to become, and maybe help them, for example, if someone wants to become a firefighter, to take the whole class to a firefighters, center and whatnot. And right now we are planning to do it, but our education is kind of in the way. We are all studying so not much time on our hands. But we are planning to do it in like 2 or 3 months for planning. So yeah, that's all.
I think what you say is super relevant. So I have a 14-year-old stepson, and I remember, ever since he was little, he would come back from school and go, why am I doing math? And why do I have to do computer sciences? And there was a bunch of subjects that he didn't like. And he couldn't understand why they were relevant to his future. And it was not until he started to speak about whether he wanted to be a firefighter, for example, and then why maths could help him not just be a firefighter, but then maybe work his way up the leadership ranks, and so maybe he could become chief firefighter one day as well, and to understand all of the different roles that support the firefighting community as well. And so once he started to understand the technology, the engineering, the mathematics that applied to these particular jobs, then suddenly it unlocked in his brain, that's why a teacher is trying to get me to learn to do this, that, or the other. But I think where you're completely right as well, and this is a wonderful opportunity for teachers and scout leaders as well, is sometimes we forget as grown-ups that we can reframe some of these traditional subjects to make them relevant for you guys and for the jobs and the future that is actually awaiting you. But also remember, it's not just waiting for you. We co-create futures. Futures don't just happen, yeah? So ultimately, we'll all get the future we deserve because we've got to co-create it together. And the best thing to do is to stand up and have your voice heard in a room. So well done, young man. You've been incredibly brave. Thank you very much for coming. There's been a lot of conversation about green skills and what the jobs of the future might be here. So I do urge you to have a look for different content that has been discussed around the COP over the course of the last week, and I know there will be much more too, because it is your future and we want you guys to come and seize it. Because by the way, in my mind, I have a vision, and by the way, I'm a lousy artist. You don't ever want to ask me to draw or paint anything, I'm terrible at it. But in my mind, I can see a really incredible future for 2050. And one day I'm gonna have to ask somebody to translate what's in my head and see if we can get it onto a canvas. Because that's what I want you guys to hold in your brains as well, and in your hearts too, is a really awesome vision of what 2050 can look like. Not all the doom and gloom stories, because if we all carry those, it's gonna make us do this, and we're gonna feel small, and we're gonna run away, and we're gonna want to hide in a corner. But if you've got a beautiful idea of what your future can look like, that's gonna make you stand up straight, and that's gonna make you be like, hey, I like that idea. I wanna help to co-create this. And then it's gonna build that energy and that momentum, and we will succeed, and your 2050 will be fabulous, because we're all gonna co-create it together. So that is just a little message that I wanted to give you there. Now, how about anybody else? Who is gonna come up here next? Here we go, we've got another young man who's gonna come. Let's put our hands together for this young man who's gonna come. What is your name?
Yadican.
Yajan?
Yadican.
Yadija. Yadija. I'm so sorry. Anyway, you're gonna speak now, so I'll hand the mic over to you.
About 2050, 2050, or about what?
Yeah, 2050. If you want, you can speak about whatever you want.
First of all, I want to talk about my project. With my schoolmate, I want to make a robot, and it will help to people. It will help to people, and will just.
If you want to do it in Azerbaijani, speak in Azerbaijani, because we'll put the videos up on YouTube, and then your people can watch it. Then you don't have to do it in English. We can put the translation into English afterwards.
Okay. Sinif yoldaşımla bir yerde bir tane robot hazırlayırıq. Adını Kobe qoymuşuq. Çünki mən basketbolu çox sevirəm. Ən sevdiyim oyunçu da Kobe Bryant'dır. Buna görə də adını Kobe qoyduq. Bu robot süni intellekt üzərində işləyəcək. Hələ də demosunu hazırlamamışıq, çünki o qədər çox vaxtımız yoxdur. Amma çalışdığımız qədər hazırlayırıq. Bu robot bir depresiyaya görə hazırlanacaq. Yəni depresiyanı aradan qaldırmaq üçündür. Çünki bir çox insan ona görə depresiyaya düşür ki, öz fikirlərini başqalarına bildirəmirlər, öz dərdlərini başqalarına deyəmirlər və bu robotdakı onlara qulaq asacaq və onlarla danışacaq, bir dost olacaq, bu robot olmayacaq, bir friend olacaq əlbəttə ki, onu sadəcə robot kimi düzəltməyəcək, bir dost kimi özünə aparacaq. İstədiyin vaxt gəlirsən də və özü sual verəcək ki, necə keçdi gün. Məsələn, harasa həyətə gedəndə istəyəcək, deyəcək ki, mən də gedim, təkərlər olacaq belə. Hələ də tam bilmirik nə edəcəyik, amma düşünürük bunun üzərində.
Well, I'm going to look forward to the English translation of that, because I'm afraid my Azerbaijani is really non-existent at all. As you can tell, I'm sorry, I'm not even pronouncing your name properly. But did you enjoy speaking on the stage for a moment?
Yeah, it was different.
And sometimes different makes us feel uncomfortable.
No, I love speaking in like this, like
In public places?
And on
Yeah.
the stage.
yeah, and on the stage. I think it's my hobby. Like I'm talking with myself, like I'm in public and I'm talking to them, and
But it's a great skill to have, by the way, because speaking on the stage, I don't really like it. I get kind of nervous when I speak on the stage, in case you hadn't already noticed. I think it's very obvious that I don't like doing it, but I wish that I had practiced it more. It's one of those really annoying things, you know, when grown-ups tell you, you've got to practice this because you're going to get better at it. It really helps. So the more you get on the stage, the better you get at it, the easier it becomes, the more confident you become. You practice your words, your messages, you're getting to really drill down on the really important points you want to get across. And then you can become a spokesperson for whatever organization, for the Scouts, for whatever university you go to, or whatever job you have in the future. You will be the one who can stand up and tell everybody about it, so keep practicing it. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So look at this, we've got brilliant Scout leaders left, right, and center. Who's coming up next? Yes, we have a young lady over here. Now, what's your name?
Aydan.
Aydan. It's wonderful to meet you, Aydan. The microphone is yours.
It's not the first time for me I'm speaking on stage, but it's never for me I'm speaking English on stage. And I can make mistakes, sorry for that. And I want to speak about scouting. I'm scouting for 7 years and it's so too long. So I can say that scouting is not only going camping, it's not just about that. I can learn about anything in here, everything. It's coming maybe, first time I'm joined a scout, I was like, what is this? What is going on? And so I learned something or everything about my leaders and my sister also. She's also here, yeah. I don't understand scouting when I was 7 because I'm so young for this. But when I'm being an adult, I start to understand this. Okay. I like to being scout because I like to be friends with anybody and speaking about everything. And I think it's wonderful for everybody when we're going camp and make understand anything with my friends. We just learn how to make camping and we can organize camp. And when I wear this uniform, I feel so good because it's so special for me. It's not just about the uniform. It's not a simple uniform for anybody. It's very special for me. Okay, I know you can think it's nothing. It's just a uniform. Everybody can wear this, but it's not like that. If you wear this, you might be thinking of scouting is very wonderful. I think like that because when I was scout, my leader's gonna teach me what is scout, who made this for child. It is about our mission. The scout is making ready for the life. Life is hard for everyone, and we need to be ready for this. I think scouting help people about this. Thank you.
I think you're completely right. It's that sense of community, isn't it? It's that friendship group. You've got people that you can share with, that you can learn with, that you can grow with. And again, a lot of that is happening here at COP, particularly with the young people who fly in from all over the world. This is one of the few opportunities that they have in the year to actually get together, because online they speak to each other a lot and they share stories and ideas. But actually being able to be here, and it's one of the reasons we created the Extreme Hangout, And we've got that big space out there which everyone can come and literally hang out in. We want people to be able to come and relax and to sit down with their friends and have a chat and share stories and interact. So I understand why you're super proud of your uniform. And well done for getting up and sharing this story. Thank you so much. So I'd like to know, has anybody else got something that they would like to share, specifically in relation to the climate? And maybe it's a worry that you have about the climate, or maybe it's some new innovation that you've heard about, which you think sounds pretty cool, and that you might like to see more of. Or maybe it's a passion for wildlife and biodiversity, and perhaps maybe some fears. I don't know if you guys have seen the fin stand, which is here. Did you guys walk past that yet? Where they've got the dolphins and the whales and the sharks. They're telling amazing stories there, really fantastic. And have any of you been down to the shores of Baku and seen the whale on the beach? Did you see that? And it's all, I know it's all been in the papers, and I think it's probably been on TikTok, I'm sure, as well, and other social media sites. It was super clever, no? And actually, I'll tell you a funny story about this. She's going to shoot me for telling you this. There's a very brilliant young woman I know who works in the marine conservation world, and she saw the pictures of this whale on the beach, and she went, "Oh my God, how did it get there?" And then, of course, she suddenly went, wait, hang on, it's the Caspian Sea. Of course the whale isn't actually there, it has to be a model. And the bit which was, she said, was really embarrassing, so I'm only saying her own words, is the fact that she knew the stunt was going to happen already, and yet it still fooled her because it looked so realistic. So I thought that was quite a funny story. But anyway, it just goes to show. I also happen to care enormously about the marine environment. I spent a lot of my childhood growing up on the Bahamas. And do any of you guys know where the Bahamas is? Nobody? Okay, who knows where America is? You guys know where America is? The USA? Yeah, okay, I think you know where America is, all right. On the eastern side of America, so the closest side to us over here in Europe, right down in the south is Florida. Who's heard of Florida? That's where Disneyland is, yeah? Okay, fine. We know where Florida is. The Bahamas is an archipelago of islands just off the coast of Florida. Not quite close to Puerto Rico, but yeah, the Bahamas is kind of on the edge of the Atlantic, where the Atlantic sort of becomes the Caribbean Sea. Okay, so not a million miles away, you're absolutely right. It is islands. There are over 700 islands that make up the Bahamas. And if you're ever lucky enough to meet an astronaut, has anybody here ever met an astronaut? You have, and love it. Did you ask them what their favorite view of planet Earth is? Okay, next time you meet this astronaut again, you need to ask them. And I have to say, I have tested out this theory, by the way, and it works. Every astronaut that I have ever met, and I've only met a couple, but they will say the same thing. Their favorite view, just imagine for a second, you're in the International Space Station, which is traveling around the world, circumnavigating the world several times a day in the orbit that the International Space Station does. And of course, there's a window in the International Space Station, which is lucky, frankly. I think they'd be horrible to be up there otherwise. And the one time that they all run to the window to look back at planet Earth is when the space shuttle is flying over the Bahamas. Because the views, Baja Mar, in the Spanish language, Christopher Columbus sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and landed first in the Bahamas. Baja Mar, translated from the Spanish language, means shallow seas. The Bahamas is very, very shallow waters around it. And the colors of the waters are aquamarine, and they just pop. And that's why the astronauts love, as long as it's not too cloudy there, it's not often cloudy in the Bahamas, but we do have hurricanes there. They love to just see as it travels over the Bahamas because the colors are so extraordinary. And as I've said, I'm lucky enough to have grown up out there, so I'm particularly passionate about these islands. And I have to say, if you ever get the opportunity to go visit, definitely do. It is, so my late father, my father died a long time ago, well, say a long time ago, it'll feel like a long time ago to some of the younger audience here, back in 2007. And he created one of the first marine protected areas in the world because we lived out there and because we could see what was already happening, what was changing in our ocean, that we were losing our fish, that our coral reefs were dying. And when the coral reefs die and then you have a big hurricane come in, they are not able to hold the waves back so much. We've removed a lot of mangrove from the islands in the Bahamas. The mangroves also protect the land as well. So that has also made the accumulation forces of the hurricanes so much worse as well. That is why I am here today. That is why outside here there's lots of pictures and drawings from the ocean, because that's where my love is. The Bahamas is my favorite place on earth. And I would love any of you to tell me about what your favorite place is, and if there are any particular animals or wildlife who live there that you would like to tell me about. Because I know in Azerbaijan you guys have amazing wildlife. You have leopards here, don't you? I know not many leopards, but I know there's amazing work being done to protect them, and hopefully there will become more of them in the future. Does anybody love leopard here? You do? Do you want to tell us about your love of leopard or other animals in Azerbaijan? Yeah, we just love them. Did you want to say anything? No? I think we might have run out of Brave Scouts here today, which is, by the way, completely fine. It's not for everybody to stand up on a stage and speak. But we can always
Put the mic away and have a chat about your favorite wildlife. I happen to love animals, though.
I know there's a bison reintroduction going on in Azerbaijan too. Do you guys know about that? I don't know what the word is in Azerbaijani for bison. So in America they call them buffalo. They're huge, great big cows, effectively. Bison. Bison.
Okay, that's cool, that translates.
Did you know they're being reintroduced? No? There's do you know an organization called the Ideas Campaign? Which I believe is run by the daughter of your president. She co-founded it, Layla. Yeah? So you need to look up the Ideas Campaign. I went to their offices here in Baku. They have beautiful wildlife photography in there. And that's where I learnt about the fact that you have leopard here. And then she was telling me as well about the bison program. Because so I spend most of my time in England, in the UK, where I'm from. So I live in London. And the UK is one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world. We're in the top 10 for having lost or destroyed the most of our nature. That is not something that I am proud of. It is not something that anybody in our country is proud of. And when that statistic was delivered, which I don't think was that many years ago, I think it made a lot of people in England go, oh, that's terrible, that's really shameful. We're actually known, ironically, for being a group of people who love animals. Well, that doesn't really translate if you have destroyed most of your nature in your country. So, it has actually galvanized lots of people, and many young people as well. And there's a lot of tree planting going on. Has anybody got bird feeders outside their house? Do you feed your birds? So we put peanuts out, we build little huts and give them sunflower seeds, and just to help them. And what else is going on? So there's a big issue in the UK with our rivers. So we have lots of rivers in the UK, and only 14% of our rivers are healthy. Also terrible. You spoke about the Caspian Sea as well, because I know there's been big pollution problems, haven't there? That's right, you were speaking about that. And so, yeah, we do. We need our governments and local organizations and NGOs and young people as well. Like, how can we all help? There are always different things that we can do to help. I wonder if there's anything else anybody wants to talk about.
Bamboos.
What was that?
Bamboos. bamboo.
Oh, bamboos, yes. You were here yesterday evening and talking deeply passionately about bamboo. I don't know if bamboo is an indigenous plant here in Azerbaijan.
No, no, no.
It's not.
I'm trying actually. I'm trying to introduce bamboos here.
But is introducing non-native species a good
It's
idea?
not native, yeah. It's not native.
Yeah.
But we have to see, we have to do some research on it.
Yeah, or we can grow the bamboo in countries where they are native
Yeah.
and then bring them to use them as building materials. I've seen amazing bamboo structures used as scaffolding
Yes.
around buildings in Hong Kong.
Bamboo is very unique. Very unique things.
Yeah, for construction stuff. And even in cities like Hong Kong, where they build enormous skyscrapers. Do you know why they use bamboo? Because it's flexible. So when you're building up really high, okay, there's a lot of wind. I know you get a lot of wind around here. In fact, last night in my apartment building, it was super windy. And I could hear the wind rushing around the building. So if you think about what we think of, certainly in the UK, as traditional scaffolding, it's metal poles.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys use here in Azerbaijan? Yeah. But if you use bamboo, it has that flex. So when the wind blows, you might think, ooh, that's a bit scary. But actually having something solid, more likely to break or be forced to shift and therefore fall. Whereas if it's got that flexibility, think of a tree. What does a tree do when the wind blows? It doesn't stand there like this. It moves. So that's
It's not heavy, but it's strong.
very, very
It's
strong.
flexible when you work.
Well, so why don't you come up here and tell us a little bit about bamboo? Because I know that you're super passionate about it and you mentioned it last night. So just, you can have a few minutes to just tell these young people about what a super plant bamboo is, because I also know it grows incredibly fast. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you about bamboo, this gentleman is going to tell you. What is your name, please?
What is your name?
It's Firoz Shah.
And where are you from?
I'm from Bangladesh, but I live here.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. Cool. Tell us a little bit about bamboo.
You know, bamboo is very different than other plants. Okay, and it's a family of grass. You know, grass, small grass. So bamboo is 1,500 varieties globally, and it's indigenous it's in China and India, like part of India, but mostly China, Japan, and it's very beautiful plants. And where the bamboo is there, -6 temperature goes down for summer. I mean, it's like you can say it's air condition is there. Like we are feeling right now, this temperature you will get if you're under the bamboos. Yeah, seriously. And that's why in France, in south of France, they created like a park, bamboo park. Also many European countries, Portugal also doing, Spain also doing. But people don't know about it actually. In Italy they are doing. I'm also trying here, also in Europe, let's see. Because lots of varieties is there, like 1,500. So at least you can start like 10, 15, 20, you know. We have to see, research, and let's see what happens.
And what can you build with them? What is it a great plant to do? So for shade and shelter?
You can create shades, many creative shades, many different kind of designs. Also, right now in Indonesia, some like people from Italy, they are building some very beautiful construction, like designs, yeah, very beautiful.
You heard of the Green School in Bali?
Yes, I
I
hear.
think that.
They are doing it. Yeah, bamboo is very unique actually, but many people think to try. We have to see because there's a lot of varieties. I don't know. So like, is it possible? It's there or not? But we have to see. We have to plant it. We have to see like how it goes. Because the most beautiful things about the bamboos, it's very fast. 1 year you can see like it's already 25 feet. Only 1 year. So you are not wasting your time. within 4 years you can harvest it. You got me? Like a normal plant, like pine trees or other trees, it's like 10 to 15 years, 20 years, you know, normal trees. But in bamboos, like 4 or 5 years, you can just, and you have to cut it. You have to cut it because the nature created. You have to cut it, replace it within 4 or 5 years. You have to replace it, and within 3 4 years, it's like a mature, you know, strong. I mean, you can use it. Yeah. Also, we have to replace the plastics. So the plastic, a lot of plastic material you can create by bamboos, like a spoon or other many kinds. So right now they are making like a tiles, you know, the floor tiles. They are making with the bamboos. Clothes is the like 10 times better than cotton. You know the cottons. Yeah, very soft, very soft. Also, like we are using the tissue paper. So it's like 30 million pine trees we are cutting. I don't know the 1 year or something. 30 millions, but we can replace by the bamboos. So we can plant the bamboos and we can replace, you know, this tissue paper production by. In USA, I saw some companies they are doing completely. They are replacing by bamboos the tissue papers. Amazing, yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for sharing knowledge on bamboo. That also makes me understand a little bit as to why panda bears are so big and strong, because they're consuming something which is so rich and strong itself as a plant. Now, as this is an open mic session, it's kind of feeling a little bit like my own open mic session at the moment, which is faintly hilarious. Would anybody else like to stand up and say something? Tell us about where you're from, what you're doing at COP, anything that you're worried about or happy about. I hope that Azerbaijanis in the room are really proud of the fact that you guys are hosting COP. Yeah? Okay, we have a lady in the back who's definitely proud of that. And you're volunteering as well? You're part of the... No? You're staff. Well, you're even more devoted and in on the game.
I just like big events, that's all.
You like big events?
Big events, yeah.
Well, I hope that you feel that this is...
International big events.
Big international events, fantastic. Do they have a big carbon footprint, don't they? They have a big carbon footprint, big international events. I know. Do you know what's one of the things that really worries me about following the COPs? Because me and my team, we have to get on airplanes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, do you visit each COP?
Yeah, so we take the Extreme Hangout to every COP. So we started 4 years ago when COP came to Glasgow. I think I mentioned already that I live in the UK. And so when it came there, I was like, right, I have to go, I have to do something, because why is the world not changing? Why are things not happening fast enough? Why are we waiting for young people to go on the streets, waving placards and demanding change, for the grown-ups in the room to respond? I'm like, that's not good enough, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm like, right, okay, we need to help change the conversation, because if we're not seeing the results that we need to see, then maybe we're not talking about it in the right way. Or maybe we're only talking about it, and actually, we should be writing more poetry about it. We should be painting more pictures about it. We communicate and therefore learn as human beings, all in a vast array of different ways. And of course, the COP here, the language in the Blue Zone is very political. It's very big business focused. It is very scientific. And if you don't understand all of that, it can feel very daunting, unintelligible, frankly, or terrifying, which just makes you want to put your fingers in your ears and run out of the nearest door. So what we decided that we're going to try and do at Extreme Hangout is change the language a bit. And we're actually an extreme and adventure sports company. A lot of people are like, well, what are you doing in this space? Well, it's really easy. As I've already explained, I grew up in the Bahamas. I was diving under the water from a tiny age, swimming with sharks, and climbing palm trees, and nature was my playground. Nature still is my playground, and that's why I have that affinity for it.
And if you speak to other people in the extreme and adventure sports community, whether you're a skier and you love the winter because the snow falls, well, does it still fall as much as it used to? The answer to that is definitely no, and I'm speaking of that from lived experience where I go to. We have half the amount of snow that we used to when I was a child growing up. And other mountaineers who like to ice climb or just walk up mountains and stuff, the glaciers are moving, they're shifting. Surfers, they're out on the ocean with their boards, surrounded by plastic, sewage as well, gross. So they're all also finding their voices, and they're coming up and saying, actually, this is not right. So it was a combination of those two things, of young people already saying, grown-ups, what are you doing? And then sports people as well, also finding their voice. And I was like, well, sports people and young people really like each other, and very often they are the same people as well. So why don't we go to COP in Glasgow and create a space where we can have intergenerational conversation? And so that's really what we set out to do. And our first year in Glasgow, we found a repurposed ferry, which is moored on the river. I was like, well, that'll be kind of a fun, cool, different space. So let's go do something there. And we don't just host talks and discussions. We also do art workshops. We have yoga and breathwork sessions that happen each morning here. We do film screenings. Last night, we had lots of young people in here, and they were reading poetry and they were dancing. I'd never seen a traditional Azerbaijani dance before, and it was just beautiful. And this girl was wearing this incredible costume with this beautiful skirt. So that was there's lots of sort of cultural interactions that go too, because we need to understand each other as people first, before we try and share very serious things with each other, because otherwise we're going to dismiss each other's opinions. What else do we do? I mean, listen, we've got the big Hangout space there too. These big international conferences are exhausting. People come, and by the time they land, they've got jet lag already, so they're already tired before they've even got here. And then we're expecting them to go to the Blue Zone, to talk to world leaders, and to make the best possible decisions on our behalf. How? There's like almost no daylight in the Blue Zone at all. Okay, so we're asking them to live in a space with no natural light, lots of uncomfortable chairs. Our chairs are very comfortable. Most of theirs are not, trust me, I've been in there. Everybody's squeezed in like sardines in a tin. You can't move, and you have to fight your way around everywhere. The quality of the food is not great, I have to be honest. Our food here is completely delicious, it's super healthy. But it's like consciously, I'm like, I want health food here. Because otherwise you go out even to the wider part of the Blue Zone. Sorry guys, it's junk food. It's not proper food. You cannot feed people on that for 2 weeks and expect their brain to be functioning properly, expect them to feel energized and ready to go. You gotta feed people properly. I'm not blaming you. Yeah, Azerbaijan, I've been to some wonderful restaurants here. It's fantastic. But again, international events community, we need to think about this stuff. We were super lucky we found the Hope Cafe here. And we were like, yes, we want them because they want them. Their whole reason for being is really healthy food. And the number of people who've come in here and gone, thank you. I haven't seen a lettuce leaf since I arrived. And we've got lots of that, and they're making smoothies. So if you want to re-energize yourself and feel really good, you can have some of the food here. But this kind of stuff is actually really important, and lots of people who work in the events industry don't get involved in that. So we need to think about that, as well as our carbon footprint. And as you were saying, yes, we do go to, as the Extreme Hangout, we go to COP in Glasgow, then we went to Egypt. And in Egypt, actually, we were really lucky. We had a beautiful stretch of lawn outside a hotel, and it was right on the edge of the sea. So we would organize to take people into the sea. There were some people that had never been on a coral reef before. They'd never actually stuck their head under the water in the sea. Now for me, that feels super alien because I grew up somewhere where I could do that the whole time. So is it any wonder I love the ocean? Have you ever been snorkeling? Have you ever put your head under the sea? Yeah. It's incredible. You know, one of the best things about sticking your head underwater is you suddenly realize how noisy it is down there. You think we're the only ones who speak and make noise, and trust me, it ain't true. You stick your head underwater on a coral reef and the noise is amazing. I wonder about all the conversations they're having down there. Wretched humans, what are you guys doing up there? But yes, so we keep coming. Hi, Carls, you're back. We went to Egypt, and then in Dubai we were invited to be part of the Green Zone. So we were really proud. We felt very official then. That was great. And then when Azerbaijan was awarded the COP, they also invited us to come and be part of the Green Zone too. So that's why we're here. And we will keep coming to COP. Extreme Hangout will go to every COP that we're needed at. I kind of hope that by the time you guys are all grown up, we won't need COPs, because it will just be that you cannot run a business without a triple bottom line. Businesses at the moment judge their success entirely on their economic success, how much money they're making. That's not right. You cannot just look at that in terms of value. You also have to look at the social impact of your business. So how you're affecting the humans, not only the humans that work for you, but what about the humans, I don't know, maybe you're a drinks company and you're making your drinks and you need lots of water to put into the bottles. So you're going to need to get that water from somewhere. So maybe you're taking it from a river system. Well, if you're a really big drinks company, that's a lot of water you're going to be taking out of a river. But what happens to the people downstream that usually get that water? What happens to the wildlife? What are the impacts of you running your drinks business? A lot of that has not been thought of in the past. So the social impact, really important, but the environmental impact too. Now, of course, we need, for our telephones, we're going to need some rare minerals, things that need to be mined. When we're building homes, if we're going to make concrete, requires sand. So we have to take things, but where we're taking, how can we make sure we're still supporting the environment? And how can we make sure we're giving back where we need to extract? And it's that mindset that has been missing from business, I would argue. And lots of other people here, I think, would argue too. So we just need to reframe some of these things a bit. And it's all possible. We're humans, my goodness. We've been to the moon. We've flown at supersonic speeds. We have people who live in submarines for months on end under the ocean. I would not want to do that, but that's a separate subject. We can achieve the most extraordinary things. We design beautiful things, amazing clothes. We dance, we sing, we share stories. It's such a human attribute, that. I don't think other animals share stories. Maybe the parrotfish do, but I don't know. We are brilliant. And it's back to what I said before. We are super capable of co-creating an amazing future. But we have to get together and we have to stop saying, it's too expensive, it's too this, it's too that, it's too difficult. It's not. It's completely possible. And that's where it's really important that you guys use your voices and you say, Mom, Dad, come on, we can do this. Teachers, professors, Scout leaders, like, what else can we do? Because there's plenty of stuff that we can all do together. And there are ways to share your stories. Of course, you can use your voice as well. Excuse me, I have an alarm going off. Probably means, it does mean actually, that the session is going to close. And by the way, anybody stick their hand up any moment if you want to say something? No, still not yet, that's okay. So I will wrap up now. And we'll let everybody wander off and go have a coffee or a wonderful healthy snack out here to keep you energized and feeling strong. But I want to thank the Scouts for coming in today and all of our friends who have taken the time out of your weekend, because we all love weekends. Weekends are the moments we get to relax. But today you have all chosen to come and be here And that's really super important. Because the more we learn about this stuff, the more our hearts do get involved in it. And when our hearts get involved, then we want to protect it. We want to do something about it. So thank you for bringing your hearts along today.